What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JBsports back again with another one. Got an important heavyweight matchup coming up this Saturday between Dillian Whyte versus Alexander Povetkin, live from Eddie Hearn's backyard. Fight's going to be broadcast on the Zone. Matchroom Boxing will be the broadcast from the UK, man. It's going to be a matchup where Dillian Whyte is going to be putting his WBC interim belt on the line versus the Russian assassin, Alexander Povetkin. This is a very important matchup for Dillian Whyte. He needs to get this win Saturday and then set himself up to face the winner of Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. Now, Dillian Whyte, man, in the interviews I seen him doing before the fight, I watched the interview he did yesterday with IFL TV. He seems to be really focused on Tyson Fury. You know, saying Tyson Fury is not going to fight him. Tyson Fury is going to duck the fight. Tyson Fury is going to beat Wilder and then duck the fight and vacate the belt and end up fighting Joshua next instead of fighting him, the number one mandatory contender for the WBC belt. So you see Dillian Whyte, you know, focusing a lot of his energy on Tyson Fury. And other fighters would think like, man, this is a bad sign. Why is you worried about Tyson Fury? You need to be focused on Alexander Povetkin, which is no walk in the park. This guy has been in there with the top fighters in the heavyweight division for the last 10 years. He's fought Vladimir Klitschko, lost that fight. Fought Anthony Joshua, lost that fight. He's beaten everybody else on his during his journey in boxing. He's beaten every fighter besides those two fighters. So you would think he'd be really focused on Alexander Povetkin, but I watched Dillian Whyte do tons of interviews. He seems to be focused on other fights leading into those fights that he's fighting, not focused on the guys. I'm not going to say not focused on the guy. I'm not necessarily talking about the opponent that's next up for him, but talking about future fights. He did that with Deontay Wilder. In the Oscar Rivas fight, he was talking a lot about Deontay Wilder was ducking him. In the Derek Chisora rematch, he talked a lot about Deontay Wilder, saying Deontay Wilder was ducking him, and he went in there and took care of business. So I'm going to give him, based on his past performances, the benefit of the doubt and say that he's going to be ready to fight Saturday against Alexander Povetkin. But nevertheless, man, the guy's always bringing up other names, man. Instead of the guy he's in the ring, he's scheduled to fight next in the ring. He's always bringing up guys that they're talking about him fighting potentially next, assuming that he, he's got the win already in the bag, and it's just a formality, and they're talking about other opponents. But like I said, he hasn't hurt Dillian Whyte in his past fight. He's went in there, took care of business, got the win. However shaky of those wins it may be, because he's been in trouble in both fights. Oscar Rivas fight, he was knocked down. Hurt multiple times in that fight. When he fought Joseph Parker, he was in bad shape that 12th round. That fight goes another 25 to 30 seconds. He probably gets knocked out in that fight. So he's a guy that's always navigates through troubled waters in his matchups. He's a guy that's, if you're a fan of him, you're going to be on the edge of your seats when you watch his fights, man, because he's got the power to knock his opponents out, but he's very chinny, and he has a chance to be knocked down and badly hurt on his side of the fence. So it's always must-see TV when you watch Dillian Whyte, man. He's not the most skilled fighter in the world. He's not he doesn't have the greatest feet in the world, but the guy has a lot of heart, and he comes to fight, man. He comes to fight. He brings his lunch box, his lunch pail, whatever the case may be. He brings that to the ring every time he fights, man. He's gonna give you 110%. He's gonna give you an honest day's work, and that's what you gotta respect about Dillian Whyte, man. He comes to fight, man, and he seems like he's gonna give you his money's worth. He's not gonna never say, well, man, Dillian Whyte could have did this if he would have did that, or he should have did this if he would have just put the feet to the pillow later on in the fight. He could have maybe got another result. You're not gonna never say that with Dillian Whyte, man. This guy's gonna bring it every time he steps into the ring. So this is a very interesting fight between him and Alexander Povetkin. Now, Povetkin is 41 years old. He's a guy that has a great left hook. Great left hook. That's his signature punch. That's the punch that Dillian Whyte's going to have to watch out for. Dillian Whyte has a good left hook too, but his left hook, to me, is more devastating to the body. So this is going to be the battle of the hookers in this fight, man. It's going to be very, very interesting. I think the difference in this fight is Dillian Whyte's jab. Dillian Whyte's got a very underrated jab. He's got the longer reach. He's the taller fighter. He's going to have to keep Alexander Povetkin on the end of his jab. If he can do that, make Alexander Povetkin reset, I think it can make for an easier night. Now, if he gets to trying to mix it up with Alexander Povetkin, he has a chance to get Alexander Povetkin out of there, because Alexander Povetkin is shown to be hurt, wobbled. He got wobbled by David Chandelier Glass Jaw Price in that fight. He got wobbled in that fight, but he was able to come back and end up stopping David Price. But he's never been as badly hurt as he's been. He's got great survival tactics of Alexander Povetkin. He gets hurt, but then he starts throwing these little punches, like these swarming punches, and he kind of ducks his head, and he seems like he gets a little wild, but you seem like you can't never get that punch on Alexander Povetkin to get him up out of there. I saw in the fight with Vladimir Klitschko. Vladimir Klitschko hurt him multiple times, but as soon as he got hurt, Alexander Povetkin does this, like he starts throwing these punches, these swarming punches, ducking his head, and he gets closer, he grabs and kind of wrestles you and kind of stays out of harm's ways, man. He's got a good survival tactic once he's hurt, man. He's kind of mastered that, man. He's never been knocked out outside of Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua was able to knock him out, and I thought that was more of Alexander Povetkin just running out of gas more than anything. He just couldn't defend himself no longer, and AJ was able to get the stoppage. But you got to give AJ his props for doing what nobody has done to Alexander Povetkin before. That's his stopping him, getting a TKO. So hats off to Anthony Joshua. But Dillian Whyte can do that. Stop Alexander Povetkin. You know, that'll be a feather in his cap too, because like I said, Vladimir Klitschko didn't even stop Alexander Povetkin, and that was a Vladimir Klitschko that was at the top of his game at that time. So got to give him credit, man. This should be a good fight, man. A very, very entertaining fight. Easily the best fight of the Matchroom Camp Series. Eddie Hearn, a.k.a. Eddie the Con Artist, has been selling a bill of goods once again on the previous cards. Oh, man. You know, I'm going to have a great setup here in the back of my house. I'm going to have a great setup here. It's this, that, and the third, you know, very propping up his fight cards, man. But his fight cards are basically domestic level UK fighters. Fighters that people here in the United States know nothing about or care nothing about. But this fight here, Whyte Povetkin, gotta give him this just due. This is actually a decent fight, decent matchup. That's why that's the reason why I'm actually doing a video of that. I wasn't finna do no video of Sam Egerton versus Cheeseman, the egg and cheese sandwich card. Wasn't gonna see me doing no breakdown of that fight. Never gonna see that, because that fight had no meaning, didn't mean nothing. It wasn't like whoever won that fight was gonna be some pound for pound fighter on the pound for pound list or some future champion. Well, they couldn't even see that. Or maybe on a domestic level, but not a world champion. Couldn't see that happening. But this fight here, potentially Dillian Whyte gets this win. You know, he could fight the winner of Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, have a chance to become the WBC heavyweight champion. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what transpires, man. But this is a good matchup. But like I said, I think the difference is Dillian Whyte's jab. I think the jab is going to be the difference. The left hand to the body. I think he's a little bit more of the fresher fighter. I think Povetkin is a faded fighter. I think the first half of the fight is going to be very competitive. Wouldn't be a bit surprised after the first 8 rounds, Povetkin is ahead, leading on the judges' cards. Wouldn't be surprised about that at all. But once they get toward the second half of the fight, I think Povetkin will start fading, man. I think the weight advantage that Dillian Whyte has will start to wear down Povetkin. Dillian Whyte does a good job of leaning his weight on you. He kind of does the same thing that Tyson Fury did in the Deontay Wilder rematch. He's able to, when he was able to lean his weight on Deontay Wilder and pretty much take Wilder's legs away from him, and therefore take the steam out of Wilder's punches. And Tyson Fury was able to get the stoppage in the 7th round of that rematch. I think Dillian Whyte will attempt to do the same thing. I think he would try to bully Povetkin, get him up on against the ropes, lean his weight on him, and then try to pound him to the body and then to the head. Now, Dillian Whyte actually did the same thing to Joseph Parker. Now, Joseph Parker is probably a little bit bigger than Povetkin, but Joseph Parker is a finesse fighter. He's not a bully in the ring. He's a finesse fighter, like to fight off the back foot. You know, and that's kind of got people like, man, why you fight like that? You fight like that at times, but you fight like that pretty much majority of your fights. Why you fight like that when you've got size and you've got decent power? But he chooses to fight like that. It's a mental thing, as far as a mental thing and a physical thing. You could be the biggest, strongest guy in the world, but if you're not a killer you don't have that killer mindset, you're gonna fight a certain way, and that's what Joseph Parker does, man. That kind of irritates me, and the reason why he's a guy that's not looked at on the elite level of boxing. He's a second tier fighter in the same category to me as a same category. Well, I actually put him even below second tier, because second tier I look at as Luis Ortiz and Dillian Whyte. The top three obviously are Fury 1, Wilder 2, and Joshua 3. Then you got the second tier, Luis Ortiz and Dillian Whyte. And then you got that third tier, and that's where I would put Joseph Parker along with, Povetkin and guys of that caliber. Joe Joyce, to proven otherwise, guys like that, Joe Joyce, guys of that caliber, Robert Helenius, and guys like that on that third tier. But as far as the Povetkin Dillian Whyte matchup goes, it's going to be very, very interesting, man. But what Dillian Whyte's got to watch out for is that left hook. His left hook can hurt you. He's got real power in that left hook, Povetkin. And Dillian Whyte is shown to be chinny. He's a guy that has a shaky chin. I wouldn't put it on in the category of David Price. That's why I call him, a.k.a. Chandelier jaw. Chandelier glass jaw. Not just a glass jaw, but he got a chandelier glass jaw, David Price. I wouldn't put him up there with him, but he is chinny, and he is susceptible to that left hook, especially if he drops the right hand, as he tends to do in fights. And if he does that, that'll be the opening Povetkin needs to upset the apple cart and pull out a victory over Dillian Whyte. But we'll see what happens. This fight is, to me, it's 60-40 for Dillian Whyte. It's 60-40. If Povetkin was a little bit younger, I would probably put this as a 50-50 fight. But it's a 60-40 fight. But one thing I will give benefit of doubt for Povetkin is this is his last chance. This is his last dance. The last dance, Chicago Bulls, this is his last dance. Because if he loses this fight, yeah, he can continue boxing, but he won't be getting these level of fights, in my opinion. He's going to be down there. He's going to basically be a stepping stone. He's gonna be a gatekeeper for a lot of the young guys. You see people like Daniel Dubois. Oh man, let me fight Povetkin and get him on my resume. You'll see guys like maybe Jared Anderson. Young heavyweight that fights on Top Rank. Maybe he'll be like, hey man, get Povetkin over here, man. We fight him, man. Let me get him on my resume. He'll be a stepping stone. He'll be a gatekeeper if he loses this fight. So he knows he needs to get this win. He gets this win, he'll set himself up for another chance at a title. So Povetkin, you're going to see the best of Povetkin. Even at 41 years old, you'll see the best of Povetkin. Might not be as good as his younger days, but you'll get the best of Povetkin. Probably what you saw against AJ, especially in the first half of that fight, you're going to see that version of Povetkin in his matchup with Dillian Whyte. But I just doubt that he's going to be able to keep that up for 12 rounds. As you've seen, he slowed down in the AJ fight. And that's one of the reasons why he was stopped in that fight. We'll see what happens. See what transpires. But I got Dillian Whyte winning this fight in a very entertaining fight. Very good stylistic matchup between these two guys. I say Dillian Whyte gets the knockout, maybe a TKO in the 10th round. That's why I got Dillian Whyte TKO in the 10th round. I think he leans his weight on him, tires Povetkin out, batters him in the second half of the fight, take control of it in the second half of the fight, and gets the stoppage. And I would be a bit surprised if, in the 10th round, going into the 10th round, the fight is very close, very close. Wouldn't be a bit surprised even if Povetkin might be ahead on some of the judges' scorecard, if not all the judges' scorecard. Wouldn't be a bit surprised he's ahead. I think in the first 8 rounds, wouldn't be a bit surprised if Povetkin, like I said earlier in this video, he's ahead in this fight. But I think as the fight turns toward the second half of the fight, you slowly but surely see him fade, seeing him wearing down, see Dillian Whyte body shots getting to him, Dillian Whyte physicality getting to him, Dillian Whyte leaning his weight on him, Dillian Whyte using that jab early on in the fight to kind of pepper him and damage him up top with the jab early on. And I just slowly but surely see Dillian Whyte grinding him down and ultimately stopping him with a 10th round TKO. Let me know what you think in the comment section about Dillian Whyte versus Alexander Povetkin. Who you got in that fight as they fight live from Eddie Hearn's backyard. Let me know what you think as I get a notification from President Donald Trump on top of this video, man. You have to excuse me, man, for that, man, but it is what it is. Let me know what you think in the comment section. This is JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. I holla.